All right. Hey, everybody. It's me, Bren, and I'm here with Janet Cassidy. Hey, Janet.
Hey.
So I'm pretty excited. We're talking about beets today.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite veggies actually, and I think it's largely like understated, right? It's like the last thing you want to eat, but seriously, after today, people are gonna love beets.
I hope so.
Yep,
Well, and the cool thing is, you can do so many different recipes, even with the greens, which I
that's
found
right.
out this past spring.
That's right. So I mean, sweet recipes or savory recipes or pickled or roasted. Seriously, they're so versatile, hot or cold. So super versatile veg, and you can eat the whole thing. That's right.
Very cool. So, first of all, we should probably introduce
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah. We got to talking here, didn't we? Yep, we jumped right in.
And if you're we're streaming right now live, so if you're able to watch us live, that's great because you can participate in the chat room here. We're using a platform called Blab, so please, if you're in the room, please join in the chat room. It's always a lot of fun to watch what people are saying over there on these presentations. And if you're not joining us live and you're watching the recording or listening to the podcast, that's great too because you can still contact us. We're
That's
very
right.
active on social media, right? So, Janet, what's going on in your garden today? You're in Ohio.
Yeah, we're both in Ohio.
Yeah.
Actually, right now today it's a lovely summer day. Brian, you're probably enjoying this weather too. But we had some rain over the weekend, which was super helpful, and so actually things just are going crazy now, gangbusters. So between a couple of hot days and some good rain, we've had a lot of good things pop up. So actually, we're actually just getting ready to pull the beets. They're about there. So I pulled a handful today. We'll talk about. We've got sort of live specimens here, so or almost
Yeah.
live. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
That's great. And so I'm a little further north than you. You're more in the center of the state, right? Roughly.
Right.
Yeah. And that rain, I was enjoying yours through social media, but we only got like maybe 7/8 of an inch, and that's it.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So we can really use it up here. And I had beets growing out in my dome, and hopefully we can talk about that.
Yeah. I'm anxious to hear sort of how your beets grew in the dome, and if you were able to get them earlier. I'm interested to hear that too. So we'll talk about all that.
Great. Okay, so how about we go ahead? Maybe we should start out with different varieties. Like
Yeah.
what you shared some great beets with me earlier. I can bring a picture up here. Um, can you tell me a little bit about those varieties that you're growing?
I can. I actually had to write them down so I wouldn't forget the name. But we're growing actually four different varieties, I think. And so I actually have I brought some in, like I said, and I think one of my favorites, just of the red variety. So there's lots of varieties of beets, and lots of colors now. But this red variety, I don't know if you can see, but it's cylindrical, right? And that's the way that the beet is supposed to grow. That's not a mistake. What I love about this particular beet is when I'm pickling beets, when I cut them crosswise, I can have just about the same size pickle in the jar as opposed to sort of the globe beet. So you've got like, big and small. I like my beets sliced when I pickle them. And so I actually like this because the beets are roughly the same size. The pickles are actually the same size in the jar. So I actually like that a lot. But when I'm roasting beets, I love these globe beets, and I don't know if you can see, I went ahead and cut this. So that's a Chioggia or
Nice.
Chioggia. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. Chioggia. But you can see those stripes in there, and I actually love that. When you roast the beet, it'll actually it'll fade a little bit, but you can still see those stripes in the round beets. But if you would boil this, they would fade a little more, so you wouldn't see that striking that red stripe in there quite as much. And then lastly, I'm going to cut this one. So this is one of our golden beets right here. And I'm just going to cut the top off so you can see. And I think Brian grew these last year. But
Yeah.
that's really beautiful in there. And so when I roast beets, a mixture of the red striped and these yellow ones is really a really beautiful presentation. They taste good and they get super caramely and sweet. I don't do many pickles with the yellow. I should probably try a little bit more. I'm always afraid that that's going to fade into some sort of brown in the pickle. But
Hmm.
I really like them roasted. And I know, Bren, you're a beet grower too. What do you do with them?
Yeah. I
I
still
still
remember that.
remember
Oh,
that.
are you getting a little bit of an echo?
A little bit, not bad.
I'm not sure what that is. Anyhow, I remember a few years ago you came and you visited up here. I think you were up at our fair,
That's right.
and I had a bunch of beets. Do you remember you took
I
the
do.
handful home?
Some beets.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I first started growing a home garden, beets were not at the top of my list.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I just remember grandma's beets and
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, yeah.
know, whatever. They're red or pink or whatever. But the really cool thing with growing your own in your home is what I've noticed now is there's so many new different varieties and
Yep.
different flavors you can grow like you were showcasing there. And I remember I had the golden beets. I had grown
Yeah,
those. They look pretty. I think you took them with you because
I
I
did.
didn't know what the heck to do with them.
I did. I think we roasted them here. Yep.
So yeah, I mean that's something to keep in mind. If and plus they're super easy to grow,
Yeah.
right?
They're so easy to grow. I think the hardest thing about beets is thinning, which is not hard at all, but I know it stinks to sort of yank out a live plant that's doing well, that's thriving.
Mhm.
But in order to get those sort of nice round beets or even the cylindrical beets, you want to give them space to grow. And so I think sort of the hardest thing is thinning them out. But really, they're so easy to grow. Yeah, and they
That's
store really well. I mean, even if you don't preserve them through pickles, they store so well. So just in the fridge, those will easily stay a month in the fridge with no damage at all. And so I love them for that reason. They're sort of a shelf stable fresh vegetable.
okay. So I'll show you mine from this year.
Yeah,
I was able to start them early. Here they are.
yeah. Good.
Growing pretty good. That was early on in the dome, and it was my geodesic biodome out here in Ohio. And that was back, I think that was back in early April. They were already up like that, I think. It might have been a little earlier. But if you can tell, besides I have a little weed growing in there too, I see a weed or a piece of grass. Um, the biggest mistake I made was I didn't thin them.
Yeah.
You see how close they
I
are?
do. I do. It's like you
Yeah.
just gotta sort of be tough with them. And I know it stinks to, like I said, pull thriving, healthy plants, but they do so much better when they're thinned a little bit and they really have space to fill out. But yeah, I know. But what you could do is actually eat those that size. So when you thin them,
Yes.
those are actually really nice in salads. You don't need to braise them or cook them at all. They're really nice. And so those little ones are really great. So that's, I mean, you won't feel too bad. You'll be eating the beets. It's not like you'll be
Yeah,
constipated.
no, exactly. So, I mean, when I got in there, I think I was still, the dome is new to me and growing all these vegetables
Yeah,
pretty much whenever is very new to me. And so I
yeah.
was more in the mindset of green, just put more green in. I did that with the peas in the winter. So it just kind of forgot. But I did Google all the nutrition in those beet leaves and I need to check because I did actually cook them up and add some olive oil and some garlic. Always got to
Yeah.
fatten them up a little.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think what recipes that you use for like chard or spinach, you
Yeah.
can substitute beet greens for. Yep.
Yeah. So it was real tasty. So my mistake actually was funny.
There you go.
You know? So I want to show another picture here too. Actually, my friends in New Hampshire, Harvest Pathway, this is their beets this year. And I should have asked them if this was their first time growing them because those are kind of big.
Those are nice. Yep, those are nice big beets. I mean, that's also the thing about beets is you can pull them when they're smaller and younger, or you can let them go a little bit and pull them a bit bigger. So it depends on when you want it. How much veg you want. You can let them grow a little bit longer, and they'll get nice and big like that.
That's great. Yeah, because I don't think I get anxious and I want to harvest them. Maybe you can share how do you know when your beets are ready to be harvested? I mean, is there a
Well,
rule?
That's actually a great question. So let me get our sample back out. So actually, when the way that I do it is sometimes as the beets grow, this top crown right here will start to emerge, and you can actually sort of push back the leaves a little bit and see exactly how big these beets are just by looking at the crown. But also once they start to come out of the ground, sometimes the wire worms will get in around here, and so I like to pull them as soon as I start to see those if I'm worried about wire worms. We've let them, they can withstand a fairly low temperatures, not a freeze, but a light frost they can withstand. And so we'll let these go in the garden. That's just a great storage to leave them out in the soil, still growing. So we'll leave them in the garden until it gets actually pretty cold. So, the thing is, when you plant beets, if you pull one and it's too small, no big deal. You pulled one, but just leave the rest in for a while. So it's really trial and error as to how long you want to let them go and how big you want them.
That's great. I'm anxious just with the little bit we've shared already. I want to start more beets, and I actually do have some space. So we're in zone 5, 6 roughly, I think we both are.
That's
and
right.
is it too late to start beets here? We're heading into July 1st.
It's not too late, but if you have like maybe a slightly shaded area, so I wouldn't put them out in like blazing heat, in the blazing sun. But if you've got like maybe a partially shaded area, I would definitely put them in there. Or you have that great dome, you can control actually how much light is hitting them. Even we do a fall round too. So we do a fall crop of beets. And so we do spring and fall typically. And so we'll actually start those beets, the second round, the fall, in maybe early August. So it's still, typically we largely eat the first round of beets, the spring beets. We just eat them fresh. And then that second round, we really sort of get busy and preserve them.
Great. So it's not too late.
It's not. Try this. No, it's not too late. Yep.
Good. I have some space that I'd like to fill.
Good.
So, all right. Well, I think we should probably talk about preserving them. We've harvested them.
Yep. So there's a couple ways. I actually like pickled beets a lot. And that's very easy to do. I think I might have shared some pictures with you, Bren, but you can actually just reference the Ball Blue book. That's my sort of canning Bible, or go look at the USDA site. But really, you only have to cook the beets long enough to peel them. And so really what I typically do is cut the top off, maybe an inch, maybe right here, put them in a big pot, and then you'll want to just boil them until they're just easy to pierce with a fork, and then create the brine that you want. And again, follow a USDA recipe or a vetted canning recipe. Put them in the jar, pour the brine over, put the lids on, and process according to that recipe. It doesn't take very long at all, and you'll have these really great pickled vegetables. And I actually like beets. Beets are one of my favorite side dishes for anything like rich, like macaroni and cheese or roasted or grilled meats that are rich. That vinegar is a nice foil to that richness. And so it's a great, quick, really fast side. And really, I'm all about fast sides. I love homemade food, but I want to go to the cupboard and get my homemade food that I worked on over the summer. There's a great picture. So yeah. We're all about sort of 30-minute meals around here that are largely homemade. And so I want to be able to go to the cupboard and pull those beets out for a quick side. So that's actually one of my favorites. However, a bit more work is to can them unpickled or just canned beets. And so that you're going to need a pressure canner for. It's going to take a bit more work, but you'll still have this great side dish that you'll have to just heat up before you eat. Those beets are not suitable to be eaten unheated. So you want to just heat them if you're going to pressure can them bring them up to a boil before you eat them. But that's really,
you can't just pick a beet out of the garden and eat it, or you can, but
you can actually, but you have to slice it pretty thin. You can't eat it I wouldn't advise eating it like an apple, but I've seen lots of fresh beet salads that are sort of shaved on a mandolin and then dressed. And so actually, this Chioggia beet is popular because that looks so fun as a fresh beet in a salad. So one of my clients I'm working with is actually going to cut those into matchsticks, those chayogas, and dress them, and they're really cool, sort of piled up in a salad. So you can eat beets fresh. You just have to sort of dice them a little bit thin, and I put probably an acid or a vinaigrette. I dress them with an acid or vinaigrette. Yep. Okay.
And then so back to the canning again. You're going to want to pressure cook them. You can't do the hot bath, you're saying.
Only if you pickle them. So a pickled beet, you can definitely use a water bath because that's a higher acid food, but you need to pressure can. If you don't want them pickled, you need to pressure can those beets. So they'll be a little bit different. They'll be a little more soft because that pressure canner really puts a lot of pressure on those beets, but it's still a great option with sort of salt, pepper, and butter. It's a great side.
This is great. And so if you happen to be joining us live, thank you. And I see a couple of friends from Garden Chat on here and others who have strolled in. That's great. If you have questions, please ask away in the chat room because we're happy to help you. I'm not perfect at growing them, but
no one is, right? No one is. Yeah, no one is.
But I know that's going to change because I've got my eye on a couple of new varieties that are out, and hopefully I can get them going this weekend. So let's see here. Oh, I also shared a link to your website, Janet. You can find these recipes and Janet over at jansjars.blogspot.com. So
that's right. Actually, there's a whole recipe there for pickled beets. Yep.
Yeah. And I think we should mention your fancy title because you do know what you're talking about. You are a certified
master food preserver. Yep.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
Awesome. So let's talk about let's see. Okay, so with the canning though, you're basically going to want to pickle them pretty much. I mean, are there any other canning things we can do with these?
You broke up a little bit. I missed the question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Canning.
Yeah.
Do we only want to do like a pickled beet, or are there other ways of preserving them?
So some folks have actually froze beets. I have never done that. So I can't say how they turn out, but lots of folks say it's a great way when they're busy. So what I might do if I was going to freeze beets is I'd probably I'd boil them, I'd peel them, and then I'd slice them how I wanted. And actually that might be a great alternative to pressure canning. And so you could just take them out, just toss them in the pan. Again, another fast side, toss them in the pan with some butter, salt, and pepper and gently cook them. Again, I haven't tried it. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't work out, but give it a try.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm looking for my picture here. You did some roasted beets that looked phenomenal. This is what's going on here, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I actually like roasted beets or even roasted root vegetables are one of my go-to sides. Again, when I'm thinking about what's fast, roasted or root vegetables will stick around in your fridge a long time. So carrots or turnips or beets or sweet potatoes. And so I like that I have these things on hand and I can sort of put them in the oven and in really 20 minutes or 30 minutes at the most, they're done. And so these beets are just peeled with they're raw beets, peeled with a vegetable peeler, chopped into chunks, and then tossed with a little olive oil, salt and pepper, put on a baking sheet and roasted at about 4 1/4 for maybe 30 minutes. And we stir once. And so those beets actually get really caramelized on the outside and sweet. And if you want, you could toss them with some fresh horseradish, which, horseradish and beets, I think, go really well together, pair really well together. But if not, just like I said, put a little olive oil, salt, and pepper on them. And they're a really, really great side dish that comes together fast. And it's super healthy. You won't miss your French fries at all. You won't miss your French fries at all.
Wait a minute.
All right, maybe a little bit. They're so good. They're so good. Give them a try.
I will. Okay, so basically, we're going to cut them up the same way we did the potatoes?
That's exactly right. Cut them like a potato. Except you'll probably want to peel them. Sometimes that beet skin's a little tough, and you might not want to eat it. But just peel it like with a potato peeler, and then cut them however you like them. Toss them with olive oil, salt, and pepper in the oven at 4 1/4 for 30 minutes. Stir once. You're good.
I'll have to try that. I may have to try it in some oil too, like fry
Yeah.
them up too. Of course, add some more fat to it. But
Oh, olive oil is good for you. Don't worry about that.
there you go. How fun. This is
Yeah.
really exciting. So yeah, basically when I did my greens, all I did, and unfortunately I can't believe I can't find a photo. I thought I put it on Instagram, but I didn't. So you know what? I'll just have to grow some more because they grow pretty quick.
They do grow
Well,
fast.
yeah, for the
They
most
do.
part.
They do.
The cool thing about the greens are you can harvest that a little earlier,
That's
right?
right. That's absolutely
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
you know, even so, if you want to bring these in the house and they're fully grown, I might like cut the greens off the root. So the thing to remember about greens is if you're going to eat them, bring them in and separate the greens when you store them in the fridge. So if you're not going to eat them right away, separate the root from or the beet from the greens. What will happen is that as it sits in the fridge, remember this is the root that provides food to the greens, and so as it sits in the fridge, these greens will continue to pull energy from this beet. And so once you separate them, this beet will stay longer because it won't pull that nutrition out of the beet. And so eat the greens fairly quick. Hang on, but you can hang on to the beet for a long time. But we didn't talk much about those greens. That's also a fast side. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're having steak or something, like I love cream spinach with steak, and I know that there's lots wrong with cream spinach, but we don't eat it very often. You can make that recipe with beet greens or chard, and so you don't always. I mean, I think spinach always gets the credit for the green family, but really you can do those with lots of greens. You can make those same recipes with lots of greens. So beet greens in your spinach artichoke dip, or I know again not all that healthy, but still once in a while you splurge. But just sauteed like you did, Brian, with a little salt and pepper, olive oil, and garlic, and you've got a great quick side.
Super easy.
Yeah.
And I actually put that recipe that I used on my blog today, and super easy. And it kind of tastes. It kind of tasted like collard greens to me. Maybe I put too much garlic.
Yeah, I think they're kind of earthy. I like that there's different colored stalks depending on the beet that you grow, and so it's another great use of a product you might throw away, and it's super nutritious. And you can also freeze those greens as well. You can blanch them and pop them in the freezer.
Yeah, sounds good. So, boy, we got some great recipes here. I'm anxious to grow some, literally. I'm going to get some in the ground this weekend. And if you happen to have any questions for us and you're with us live, please just ask away. We're happy to help. And maybe we should share where people can find us, Janet.
For sure. So I'm pretty active on Twitter, and that's just at Janet Cassidy. It's pretty easy Twitter handle. And also you can visit my blog, and that's jansjars.blogspot.com.
Very cool. And of course, you can find me over on the hashtag Garden Chat.
Yeah. And if you haven't been in Garden Chat, seriously, go visit. Come with us on Monday night and jump in the fray. If you have any questions at all, someone in there is an expert and will help you. I don't Google much anymore when it comes to gardening. I just wait till Garden Chat and post my questions in there. There's some great expertise in that group.
Great. I know awesome people. I always learn things from everyone. And of course, you can find me on my website at brennhaas.com. And there it is. So, boy, we have to figure out what are we going to talk about next week. There's so many things.
I would love to hear what folks want us to talk about, like what's going on in their garden and what's happening. I'd love to hear what their challenges are.
Yeah, that would be great. So maybe if you're viewing this video, you can ask in the chat room or on YouTube, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you because this video, I put it all over the place because I'm really excited about the food we're growing and we're eating, right?
Absolutely.
And very cool. So we'll have to stay tuned and see what we're going to talk about next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, everyone. Eat more beets, man. They're awesome.
Thanks.